All right, just checking the stream. All right, yeah, we good. All right, shalom, shalom. First of all, give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, all the men, the women who follow. So, Baba Koshai, y'all bear with me. I'm just getting over a sickness, so if I'm still coughing a little bit or sneezing, wiping my eyes because they're watering, just Baba Koshai, y'all pray for me and bear with me. This here's the lesson, as you can see, going over the ICE 9 agenda, okay? Which is a lesson that I did this past week, but, it didn't record the sound of the video. So, Lord's will, this is going to be as edifying or even more edifying, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And with that being said, we're going to get right to it. So what is the ICE 9 agenda? All right, to put it, in plain language for you, the ICE 9 agenda is a plan for the global elites to freeze the banking systems all around the world simultaneously, and then have them basically usher in a new form of currency, which we know they have the CBDCs lined up, and of course it's going to ultimately lead to the MOTB. I got a video that I'm going to play that we're going to go into here shortly, but just want to preference that with some key terms that he's going to be using. First one being BlackRock. Now, if you're not familiar with BlackRock, I'm going to play a portion of this video just to preference that. So let's get that running.
We've kind of gotten used to BlackRock beating the numbers, beating expectations.
BlackRock is by far the largest, with roughly a 35% market share of domestic market.
Who is the most powerful man in the world? Some may say it is the President of the United States. Others may side with corporate America and deem the likes of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk to be more powerful. But there is someone else. It is likely you have never heard of BlackRock. In less than 30 years, this company has grown from nothing to becoming the world's largest asset manager. The assets in the roster exceed the value of $9 trillion, and their net worth is equal to half of America's GDP. Clearly, they do not need a name in the mainstream media to be successful, or, in fact, own and control the entire world. But who are they? What do they do? And how does this one company in America influence every industry and sector in the world? Let's begin with who they are. BlackRock was founded in 1988 by Larry Fink, along with Robert Capito, Susan Wagner, Barbara Novick, Ben Golub, Hugh Frater, Ralph Schlosstein, and Keith Anderson. Its aim was to provide corporations with asset management services to help them manage their risks and investments. The idea came when Fink, during his time in First Boston, lost $100 million as its head. That experience became the motivation for him to develop what he and the others considered to be excellent risk management and fiduciary practices. BlackRock first got its funding from Pete Peterson of the Blackstone Group, who believed in Fink's vision of a firm devoted to risk management.
There is electromagnetic energy in that pyramid between
management. Fink's company then essentially became an arm of Blackstone, and it was called Blackstone Financial Management. In exchange for a 50% stake in the bond business, Blackstone gave Fink and his team a $5 million credit line. Within months, the business turned profitable. And by 1989, the group's assets had quadrupled, to $2.7 billion. Blackstone's stake in Fink's company then fell to just 40%, as opposed to the 60% held by Fink and his group. The firm adopted the name BlackRock in 1992, and by the end of that year, BlackRock was managing $17 billion in assets. By the end of 1994, they were handling $53 billion. Sometime later that same year, Fink became the chairman and CEO of BlackRock Inc. The company went public in 1999 at just $14 a share on the New York Stock Exchange. And by the end of that year, they were handling $165 billion in assets. BlackRock grew both organically and by acquisitions, and in 2004, they made their first significant acquisition, buying State Street Research and Management's holding company, SSRM Holding Inc., from MetLife for $325 million in cash and $50 million in stock. And this was only the beginning. We are aware, to some extent, that a handful of mega corporations and private investment companies dominate every aspect of our lives. What we watch, eat, drink, wear, buy, and go is all dictated. It is all less of a personal choice and more what is fed to us by corporations. All of these.
That's important right there. I'm going to go ahead and rewind this back and play it again.
And private investment companies dominate every aspect of our lives. What we watch, eat, drink, wear, buy, and go is all dictated. It is all less of a personal choice and more what is fed to us by corporations.
Right. So everything that we experience, whether you go to the grocery store, whether you go into, the mall, whether you're watching TV, social media, everything in our lives is basically, is like you said, is being fed to us. We have the illusion of choice. We have the illusion of choice, but really we just have the options that they're giving us. And all these options are corporations. And the way I like to explain it, there was a, I believe it was Ludacris. He had a lyric that was like, and you a nigga that's signed to a nigga that's signed to another nigga that's signed. You a nigga that's signed to a nigga that's signed to a nigga that's signed to another nigga. Basically, like 50 Cent has G Unit, who signed to Eminem, which has Shady Records, who signed to Dr. Dre, which has Aftermath, who signed to Interscope, which is the parent company, which like I was telling the brother Yatazak, all roads lead back to the white man. Just follow the money. Okay. Interscope is who is financing Dr. Dre, who is able to sign Eminem, who is able to sign 50 Cent. But all roads is going to lead back to Edom. It's the same thing with these corporations. And it's going to explain it just a little bit more, but just wanted to give you that little tidbit.
All of these investment firms are so enormous that they control the money flow worldwide. While there appear to be hundreds of competing brands on the market, the truth is, larger parent companies actually own multiple smaller brands, like Russian nesting dolls. PepsiCo, for example, owns a long list of food, beverage, and snack brands, as does Coca-Cola, Nestle, General Mills, Unilever, Mars, Kraft Heinz, and Associated British Foods. Together, these parent companies monopolize the packaged food industry, as virtually every food brand available belongs to one of them. These companies are publicly traded and are run by boards, where the largest shareholder...
And that's why I said it gives you the illusion of choice, because you think that, well, I like Cheetos. Well, I like Fritos. Well, I like Doritos. No, I like, Ruffles. Well, they're all owned by the same people. So they don't care what you like or what he likes or what she likes. Okay? All the money's coming back to me. So it's essentially a monopoly. Okay? Same with the gas companies, BP, Amoco, so on and so forth. They're all owned by the same people. And all roads pretty much lead back to BlackRock. All right. So now that we have a understanding, matter of fact, let me go back here a little bit. I like this graphic, so we're going to come back and we may reference that again. So, we have an understanding of what BlackRock is. Another thing that he's going to talk about in this main video is the Bilderberg Group, which the Bilderberg Group is basically, let me see, do I have a, nope, I don't. Hold on, let's go back. It's really just an annual meeting of the world's most powerful leaders. That's the basic way to put it. Okay, the world's most powerful, influential leaders meet and have a secret meeting each year. All right, so now that we know those key terms, you're gonna be able to understand the video, the main video, right here with this guy. His name is Jim Rickards. Okay, he's gonna speak about the ICE-9 agenda and what's going on. So let's just jump into the video.
I was having dinner with a friend not long ago in New York City. We met at a place called Oriole, which is in Midtown. My dinner companion that night was a senior advisor to BlackRock. As you may know, BlackRock is now the largest asset manager on the planet. It directly manages $5 trillion in assets, and it oversees another $11 trillion through its Aladdin platform. That means one firm controls more money than the GDPs of China, Russia, and Japan combined. Anyway, my dinner companion happens to work directly for BlackRock's CEO. As we nursed our white wine and the evening wore on, she let something slip. If I remember her words, she said something like, "They want to tell us we can't sell." What was she talking about? Who was she talking about? I placed a few calls, first to my contacts in Washington, then to a few people on Wall Street. Soon I was on a plane for a series of meetings to London, to Geneva, back to New York, then down to South America. As I began connecting the dots, a pattern emerged. It revealed a network of more than 189 individuals positioned inside the world's major financial institutions. Some of them hold senior positions inside the IMF, World Bank, and every central bank in the G20, including our own Federal Reserve. These elites share one vision, and they're about to make it a reality. That vision is one world order, one world taxation, and one world money.
Okay, so there's a lot said there. Just to put it in a nutshell, let me see. So you have all these different countries around the world, and all these different countries have banking systems, Federal Reserve, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, so on and so forth. Everyone has a way that their money is being processed throughout their countries. What he's saying is the elites, what he's saying is the elites have placed in like a puppet, okay, in each country, okay, in their Federal Reserve or whatever the name of their specific banking system is called, okay, and it's all to do what? To crash their economy, okay, but not just crash their economy. It's to simultaneously do it all at the same time, okay, because they want what? A one world government, a one world order, a so-called new world order, or a great reset is what they're calling it now. Okay, so let's get a couple of scriptures. First scripture I want to get is actually this Maccabees 1:41. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people." Okay, so this idea of a one world government is not new. Okay, Antiochus Epiphanes tried to do it. The Babylonians attempted to do it back at the Tower of Babel, and it's going on right now as well. So let's Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9, it says, "The thing that have been is it that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." So the process is just repeating itself, okay? But in this time, it's on a bigger scale. All right. They of course they want the people as one, but the difference is they want to put that MOTB within you, and that's what's going to trigger the Most High to make his move. Let me see a couple more scriptures here. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." Right? Because these are the so-called world leaders. All right. Because Esau, has the ruling, whatever you want to call it. He is the ruler of this world. He has the fatness of the earth. All right. He has the power to come up with a plan like this, okay, to devise this iniquity upon his bed, and then, enact this one world system. It says they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Okay, so going back to what I was saying about the various different countries around the world. All right, he's coveting all these fields. He wants all these fields, all these different countries, all these lands to be his. All right, in one conglomerate. All right, this is Psalm 17 and 13. It says, "Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." Right? Because Esau has been set up to be the sword of the Lord. Okay, and he is the wicked. Okay, you have the sons of men, sons of the Lord, and sons of the wicked, which Esau is the sons of the wicked. All right, it says, "For men which are thy hand, O Lord, for the men of the world which have their portion in this life." It's not broke people that have this plan. All right, it says that they have this portion in their life, and they have this portion in this life, in whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasures. Right? They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes, because, like I said, they are rich elites, so they can have a plan like this, starting in 1776, and pass it to their children, okay, so that they might not be able to see the New World Order, but their children's children's children will be able to enact their vision. All right, Lord, well, that makes sense. We'll get one more scripture, then we're going to get back to the video. It says, Job 20 and 23, "When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating." So while he thinks he's going to build this so-called New World Order up, that's when, the Most High is going to make his move and cast his fury down upon him. All right, it says, "He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through," which is speaking about the thermonuclear destruction. And it goes into speaking about the missiles. But let's get back to the video.
They've worked for years behind the scenes preparing to realize that vision. They've literally rigged the laws of international finance. Everything is basically in place right now, and there's essentially no way to stop this from happening. When the crisis hits, they'll flip the switch, freezing the global financial system. That will give them time to reset the world economy according to their vision. As the coming crisis unfolds, President Trump will be powerless to stop it. In fact, trying to stop them would probably weaken the president's power altogether.
That is now, there's a lot said right there. I'm just going to back it up one more time.
The global financial system, finance. Everything is basically in place right now, and there's essentially no way to stop this from happening. When the crisis hits, they'll flip the switch, freezing the global financial system. That will give them time to reset the world economy according to their vision.
Right. So everything's already been set up. When you look at the U.S. debt clock, It's just churning. Okay, everything's already been set up. And matter of fact, let's take a trip down memory lane. When you go back to 2000 and you look at it, the number's actually going down. So in the year 2000, we were getting rid of debt. We were so-called on the right track, right? And then what happened after the year 2000? 2001, 9/11 happens. We go to war with Iraq and Afghanistan. And let's look what happens to this debt clock by 2004. Now it's going the other way. Now we're trending up. In just 2 short years, it's gone up. It's like in 4 short years, it's going up 2 trillion. Well, what happens 4 years after that? In 2008, we have the housing collapse. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to slow it down because we're going to speak about that here in a second. Yeah, we can just keep it going. Let's keep it going. So it's up to 11 million in 2008. 2008, what happened? No, I'm going to slow it down because he's going to speak about it. That's going to be a better time. So let's just jump back into this because I'm kind of losing my place.
The coming crisis unfolds, President Trump will be powerless to stop it. In fact, trying to stop them would probably weaken the president's power.
Slaki, I want to get a scripture here. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 6. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against them and a taunting proverb against them and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." Now, when you go into that thick clay, all right, Strong's H5671, Ibatya, all right, it says weight of pledges, heavy debts. That's what it's talking about. Heavy debts. America is 34 trillion in debt. That's why he says everything is in place right now, and all they have to do is flip a switch because they have the people set up in the various different countries. Okay. All the heavy work has been done. We gone from 5 trillion in debt in 2000 to 34 trillion here in 2024. So the stage has already been set.
Altogether.
That is amazing, Jim, really. So what did these elites want from your contact at BlackRock?
Basically, they want to classify BlackRock as too big to fail. The technical term is Systemically Important Financial Institution, or SIFI. That designation normally applies to banks, such as Bank of America.
So going back to what I was saying before, back in 2008, okay, 2008, what happened? We had the financial crisis where the banks who were too big to fail had to have a bailout. Okay. The auto industry, which was too big to fail, had to have a bailout. And I looked it up the other day. Let's see if I can find it again. $700 billion, all right, to bail out the banks in 2008. And let me see, another 85 billion for the auto industry. Now let's grab a calculator real quick. So 785 million, 785 billion. If you divide that by, let's say 320 million people here in America, They could have wrote every American, every man, woman, and child, okay, a check for $2,400, almost $2,500. So that's, the man, that's the dad, the mom, the son, and the daughter, which that's almost $10,000 for one household. Instead of giving the people the money, okay, they gave the money to the banks. They gave the money to the car industry. Fuck yeah. Fuck you, y'all bear with me. Instead of giving the money to the people, they gave the money to the banks and to the car industry. Which, if you give someone a check for $2,400, what are they going to do? They're more likely going to put it in the bank. They're more likely, especially Jake going to get a new car. Two industries that wouldn't have had to worry about nothing. The car industry and the furniture industry. Because all the women would have got new furniture sets and cars like they do every tax season. But that would have put the economy right back on the path to success. But they didn't give the money to the people, all right, so that they could stimulate the economy. They gave it to the banks, okay? And when they did do a stimulus, I think they did it for everybody got a $200 check. What's $200 going to do for someone? That's not going to pay a month's worth of rent. That's barely a pair of Jordans. That's not even food for a month. But the point is, that's what he's talking about when he says too big to fail. That's what happened in 2008. All right, the too big to fail banks crashed, and the debt went up, from 7 million, it's like 7 trillion to 11 trillion. Going forward in time, now we're just 4 short years ago we were at 27 trillion, and today, we're at the Today we're at the 34 trillion. And if it were to continue 4 more years, Lord willing, we don't continue 4 more years, it's estimated that we will be at 46 trillion, a 12 trillion jump in 4 years. But Lord's will, we don't even get that far. But just to give you an idea on what he's speaking about right now with the too big to fail.
If your bank gets the SIFI label, it means the government will bail you out first in a crisis. But it also means you must turn over control of your bank until the crisis subsides. In this case, they're trying to reclassify BlackRock, an asset manager, as too big to fail. If they succeed, they'll be able to freeze BlackRock when the crisis hits. BlackRock clients won't be able to sell. They won't be able to buy either. Their accounts will go dark indefinitely. And the elite operatives will take control of BlackRock's assets remotely via the internet. But our research shows that their ICE...
That's basically what the plan is, all right? Because we know BlackRock has ownership of the majority of the things that we use on a daily basis. They have ownership of I think he said $9 trillion worth of assets. If all that is frozen, and you wake up and you want to, you don't have access to your money. You go to transfer your money from your bank account to Cash App and it won't go. You try to go to the ATM and you can't pull money out. Only thing you'd be able to use in that situation is any cash that you had on hand until they ushered in a new system. All right. That's what it's all about. It's about crippling the people. And really, it's about power. It's all about power. All right. Let me see. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And that's the whole agenda of the so-called white man. Okay, he wants to be God himself. That's why he wants a new world order or a one world government so that he controls every aspect of your life. That's why when you go into the MOTB, okay, it has all your money on there, your ID, your medical information. You're going to be able to use it to open your doors, to clock in at work. Everything's going to be on it because he wants all the information on you. Just like how Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai has angels taking notes and bringing it back, so to speak. The Most High, what does it say? The Most High's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, roughly paraphrasing. All right. He knows everything. He's all knowing. He can see everything. He knows everything that you're doing. The so-called white man wants to be in that same room.
9 plan goes much, much deeper than that.
Now, you refer to their plan as ICE 9. You just said that. What does that mean?
It's a reference to the Kurt Vonnegut novel, Cat's Cradle. In the book, a mad scientist creates a new form of water molecule called ICE 9. When it comes in contact with other water molecules, it freezes them at room temperature. One drop of ICE 9 can freeze the whole ocean. And that's what these elite operatives are about to do to the world economy.
Now, can you share with our viewers exactly who these operatives are and what their ultimate goal might be?
Like I said, John, more than 189 elite agents have slowly wormed their way into leadership positions across the board. They now sit at or near the head of the IMF, the World Bank, and even our own Federal Reserve. They also control much of what happens at the central banks of China, Russia, India, Brazil, Canada, and Europe. As you know, these institutions form a kind of global superstructure. It forms a kind of snare net encircling all nations. Their leaders aren't democratically elected. They're not accountable to you and me. They're beyond the reach of government and citizens, and yet they hold the fate of the global financial system in their hands. To get a sense of how they operate, imagine an array of floating spheres. One sphere is labeled IMF. One is labeled Fed. One is labeled Bilderberg. One is labeled Wall Street. One is labeled central banks. One is labeled intelligence agencies. One is labeled media. And
so like I said, their influence goes in all areas. Okay, you got media, anything that you see on TV, social media, music. You have what's called a lesser luminary, which are your Jay-Z's and Beyonce, somebody who's like Blueface, things of that nature. They're set up, okay, to do the bidding of the elites. I'll give you an example. Say the elites want to push the alphabet agenda. What they'll do, they'll say, hey, let's push this alphabet agenda, this month of February, through the 2023 or whatever month. And then they'll say, well, as a matter of fact, let me I'll preference it with the scripture. It's similar to what this is 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. It says, and he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. And I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up to fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this matter, and another said on that matter. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and shall prevail also. Go forth and do so. And that's similar to what the elites do. Like I said, it'll come from the top. Okay, let's push the alphabet agenda. Well, what can we do to push it? And then you'll have Little Nas X say, I'll do it. I'll go and slide down a stripper pole all the way to hell and do X, Y, and Z to the devil's X, Y, and Z. Then you'll have like somebody like Steven Spielberg come up and say, well, I'll do it. I'll remake The Color Purple and push that lesbo agenda heavy in the movie. Okay, and they appease their quote masters, and that's just media. But then you have the Fed and the intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, tracking all our movements, cameras everywhere. What's it called? The word is escaping me. It's going to hit me later, but basically, I believe it begins with an M. Let me see. Bear with me. Bear with me. Biometrics, not biometrics. The word is facial recognition, not facial recognition, but basically facial recognition. There's another word for it. It's killing me right now. But Louis, really, I understand what I'm saying. They have all all your social media posts. They have all your control. There's the word for it. I can't get it. But Wall Street, they're controlling the money. All right, the stock market, everything goes up and down on the stock market, which we're gonna see here in a video, and he's gonna mention it soon. How the stock market plays a role with the money. The International Monetary Fund, all that, the Bilderberg Group. We spoke about the Bilderberg Group, how it's, world leaders all meeting in a secret meeting. It's all parts of the plan. It's all one plan, but different aspects of the plan.
So on. The elites inhabit all of these spheres, and together the network forms a kind of 3D Venn diagram. As I see it, regardless of what sphere they inhabit, the elites all share the same vision: one world order, one world taxation, and one world money. All of their actions are geared toward moving that agenda forward.
Now, are you able to share the identities of these elites with our viewers?
We've identified more than 189 individuals who are in many cases hiding in plain sight. Regardless, they all share the same vision: one world order, one world taxation, and one world money. A short list would include Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF; Mark Carney, Governor of the Bank of England; Raghuram G. Rajan, Vice Chairman of the Bank for International Settlements; Haruhiko Kuroda, Governor of the Bank of Japan; William C. Dudley, President of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York; Agustin Carstens, Governor of the Bank of Mexico; Janet Yellen, Chairman of the Board of the Federal Reserve System; Mario Draghi, President of the European Central Bank; Zhu Min, former Deputy Managing Director of the IMF; Zhou Zhouquan, Governor of the People's Bank of China; Robert E. Rubin, Chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations. This A-list of central bankers and other elites is just the tip of the iceberg. New York, the Bank, Vice Chair; Mark Carney, Governor of the Bank of England; Raghuram G. Rajan, Vice Chairman of the Bank for International Settlements; Haruhiko Kuroda, Governor of the Bank of Japan; William C. Dudley, President of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York; Agustin Carstens, Governor of the Bank of Mexico; Janet Yellen, Chairman of the Board of the Federal Reserve System; Mario Draghi, President of the European Central Bank; Zhu Min, former Deputy Managing Director of the IMF; Zhou Zhouquan, Governor of the People's Bank of China; Robert E. Rubin, chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations. This A-list of central bankers and other elites is just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, not one of the
And you notice how that's why I was kind of pointing out the different areas, because they're everywhere. As you said, they've infiltrated the world, the world banking systems.
these elites will tell you outright what's going on, but I've seen and heard enough to connect the dots for myself. Not long ago, for example, I met with one of their senior operatives. He's a leading economist who served as the chairman of the Federal Reserve during the last crisis. He's considered one of the most influential minds in banking today. We met privately during a conclave in Seoul, South Korea. Of course, I'm talking about Ben Bernanke. I came away from my meeting with him stunned and convinced that ICE 9 was real. Not long before that, I set up a one-on-one meeting with another member of the network. His name is Zhu Min, the former deputy governor of China's central bank. Until recently, he served as deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund. Zhu is a brilliant guy, like Bernanke, and he's pleasant and well-meaning. There's no doubt in my mind that he's also a member of the elite network preparing to impose ICE 9 on millions of Americans. But I wasn't done with my research. I have since met with dozens of senior officials, intelligence analysts, and former Wall Street colleagues. My quest led to a final meeting, a face-to-face summit with the head of Bilderberg. We met at Rockefeller Center in Manhattan, and he was very eager to get my take on the euro as a currency. I was happy to provide it, of course, in exchange for some valuable intelligence. As I say in my new book, he did not have horns. In fact, he gave me a nice gift when we parted ways, a blue Swedish vase. I keep it in my writing studio at my home in Connecticut. But my point is, I came away from all three meetings convinced of one thing. When the next crisis hits, the elites are planning to freeze the financial system, and they'll replace it with a new system, one not based on the US dollar. When that happens, we'll wake up to a very strange and disturbing new reality.
And for our
So what he said, is whenever this next crisis arises, the freeze is going to take place. So all of these countries, the monetary funds in these countries are going to freeze. All right. You're not going to be able to, like I said, transfer money from one account to another, withdraw money, buy and sell on the stock market, things of that nature. It's all going to happen like that in an instant. You're going to wake up to a new reality. And then they're going to usher in a new system, which, right now, the CBDC system seems like it's up to bat, but eventually it's going to bleed into this right here, which is Revelation 13 and 16. It says, because of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, okay? That no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, okay? Which this is a charagma, it's a cutting in the flesh, all right? It's the RFID chip, CHIP, the RFID CHIP, okay? Like I said, it's going to have all your banking information, your hospital medical information. You can clock in at work, clock in at the gym, open your house door, start your car. All of that's going to be on this CHIP. And he said he calls us all. That's the whole point of ICE 9, because it's all that one. That's the whole point of a one world government, because it's all countries coming into one.
viewers that are watching today, what might their reality look like that morning? How does this manifest?
First, they'll have gone to bed knowing that a massive financial crisis was underway. But when they wake up, they'll find it has worsened and the contagion has spread worldwide. When they go to withdraw money, their ATM will say closed temporarily. When they go to sell stocks, their account will say transaction not available. When they go to their local business, that business will only accept cash if it's open. As citizens realize they're being barred from their money, riots will erupt. It's going to get really bad really quickly.
How would such a freeze actually work? And wouldn't that be highly illegal?
Well, it wouldn't be illegal technically because they've been quietly laying the groundwork for years. They rigged the financial laws, changed the rules of the game to allow this to happen. The stage is set. They have the levers in place. The lights are positioned. Now someone just needs to flick a switch and they'll impose ICE 9 rapidly. And again, all of this will be legal because they rigged the system in their favor. Here in the US, for example, Congress pushed through something called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. This allows the government to freeze accounts, assets, even whole institutions at will.
All right, so let's get into IEPA. Okay, we're almost done here. Throughout for bearing with me. This is from OFAClawyer.net. Right, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. IEPA is a regulation pact which grants executive authority over emergencies in peacetime. Okay, that's important. The IEPA permits the president to deal with unusual and extraordinary threats to national security by reforming the economic policies of the United States. So even though it's peacetime, there's a unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security. So how do they react to it? With changing economic policies in the United States. All right. The IEPA is the foundational authority for much of the U.S. sanctions regime administered and regulated by OFAC. All right. And that's important because basically what IEPA is putting sanctions on U.S. citizens. That's exactly what it is. Just how America has put sanctions on Russia and say you can do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Same with Iran, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Same with Cuba, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's going to be the same here in America. It's basically the government putting sanctions on U.S. citizens. That's what IEPA is.
The only condition is that there's some threat to national security with a foreign connection. Of course, with a global market, every financial crisis has a foreign connection. Any systemic crisis fits the bill. And the thing is, when the next crisis hits, it's going to be so bad, President Trump won't have any choice but to go along with the elite's plan.
Wow. That is, you have to admit, that sounds somewhat hard to believe. Now, how could these operatives actually freeze a whole country's financial system?
Well, fortunately, we have some recent real-life examples to study. The elites have been conducting a series of dry runs for years, leading up to ICE 9. Look at Cyprus, for example.
So we're going to just dive into Cyprus real quick, and we're going to end it on this. Here we go.
There's growing anger in Cyprus. Most ATMs are out of money and the banks are closed. People are trying to pull their money after the government announced a proposal to tax everyone's accounts up to 10%. The money would be taken from citizens to help bail out the country's troubled financial system. Residents are waiting for the banks to reopen.
I plan to go to the bank and withdraw all the money I have in there. I can't trust them anymore. It's theft. They're stealing from me.
Cypriot ministers met on Monday to discuss the crisis, but a key parliamentary vote on the bailout package has been postponed until Tuesday. The proposal to take money directly from people's accounts has never been done before. Markets around the world fell, and here in London, stocks opened with a triple-digit drop.
I kind of think it goes to sort of the primal fear of people that their protected nest egg for the future is going to disappear.
People's fear of losing nearly 10% of their savings is leading to demonstrations across the country. This man parked his bulldozer outside a bank in protest, and the level of anger is expected to grow if the government approves the bailout deal. Kitty Logan for CBS News, London.
Okay, so what happened in Cyprus, this was about 10 years ago, as he said, the government froze everyone's bank account. So you couldn't pull any money out, you couldn't transfer funds, nothing. And then what they did, they literally took 6 to 10% of everyone's bank account and used it to bail out the government. So that's what they're planning to do. Maybe not to that extent, but the freeze is the point. They may not take your money, but they're using this as an example to see how the people will react to all the banks being frozen. Okay, so let's jump back over here.
A few years ago, the Cypriot economy was in trouble, especially the banks. The IMF stepped in and loaned Cyprus $10 billion, but the loan came with strings. Now pay attention, because this is precisely what they're going to do. But imagine it on a global scale. So in exchange for the capital injection, the IMF demanded control over the Cypriot banking system. More specifically, the IMF froze the entire system, literally every bank in the country. And they did that to ensure the IMF's demands were met, including strict capital controls. So how did all of this impact regular citizens? Their local ATMs went dark. Even the bank branches closed, permanently in some cases. Citizens could not withdraw cash. They couldn't even transfer funds from one account to the other. What came next? Wealth extraction on a grand scale. The IMF basically stole 6 to 10% of all the cash in the Cypriot bank accounts. How did the elites justify this? They called it a levy, the price regular citizens had to pay for their government's missteps. Keep in mind, these asset confiscations were done at the balance sheet level with the institutions themselves. They never had to confiscate individual accounts. They froze every account by controlling a handful of the country's biggest banks. When the next crisis hits, we're going to see this here in the US and around the world, and it'll be a highly coordinated global attack on the entire system simultaneously.
Right, so that's pretty much the video. Hopefully now you have a good idea of what the Ice Night agenda is, what the so-called elites have planned, and those words edifying. And I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, all the men and the women who follow. Shalom.